Good afternoon, students. Today we will discuss about the specifications. What is specification? A specification is a specific description of a particular subject with which we are dealing. Now, as we are into civil engineering, we'll be connected with the construction projects and the properties of the material that is to be used in the construction project. So here we'll restrict ourselves to the construction material and the quality pertaining to it. An engineering specification contains detailed description of all workmanship and materials which are required to complete an engineering project in accordance with the drawings and its details. The technical drawings will show the proportion and relative position of various components of the structure. It is not possible to furnish the information regarding the quality of materials and the quality of workmanship on the drawing itself. The data regarding the materials and workmanship is conveyed in a separate contract document which is known as the specification for the work. Thus, the drawings with specification will completely define the structure. So, it is not possible to define the structure with help of drawings only, but specifications are required in addition to the drawings to define the structure completely with respect to the properties of material, quality of material and the quality of workmanship that is expected. Why we need the specification? To determine the cost of unit quantity of work. Now we have learned about the rate analysis. So the rate of any particular item of work will be guided by its specification. As specification changes, quality will change and of course the rates are going to change. To prepare material procurement plan, obviously with respect to the quality of material and the quantity of material and the time when which the material is required, we can plan the purchase plan for that particular material. To arrange for the required workforce and set of machineries, the type of category of the labor that is required and the type of machinery will depend upon the quality that is expected. So it will help, specification will help us to arrange for required labor and machineries. To serve as guide to the supervising staff, the supervisory staff will have a benchmark, that is specification, to supervise the work that is going on. To account for changes in the related or tendered rate, the tendered rates are going to change in the as the specification changes. So if any change in the specification comes, the rate has to be checked out. To avoid dispute with contractor, if something is written, then there is no or least possibility of the arising of dispute. So to reduce or to avoid the dispute with contractor, specification will help us. Specification is an essential contract document and that is required for arbitration or court cases. Sometimes the cases go into arbitration or sometimes it has to be referred to the court to resolve few disputes. So specifications are required in this particular aspect. How to write the specification? Specifications have to be written in a specified format, in a specific format, because it is a legal document that can be used for resolving some dispute and will be referred by the court sometime. So the language has to be very clear and there are certain guidelines which are given for writing the specification. Let us look into that now. While writing specification, the following principles shall be adopted. Description of materials. The quality and the size of material required to do an item of work shall be fully described. Say for example, if you are doing some brick masonry, the size of brick, if it is standard size, you have to mention it as 9 by 9 by 19, or if you are using 6 inches brick, then you have to mention it as 6 by 4 by 19. So the sizes have to be very well defined. If you are doing some concrete work, the maximum size of aggregate like 10 mm, 20 mm, 40 mm, that has to be very clearly written. The proportion of mixing or treatment of material, if required before use, shall be clearly described. Right? So proportion of mixing, like in the case of concrete, if the gradation of aggregate is given, so that has to be given 10 mm, 20 mm, 40 mm. If gradation is 20, 60, 20, so that has to be very clearly given before mixing, before usage. If some surface preparation is to be done before concreting, plastering or painting, that has to be clearly written in the description of material. Workmanship. Complete description of workmanship, the method of mixing, the method of laying, preparation of base or surface, Compaction that is required, finishing and curing, etc., specifically applicable to the item of work shall be clearly stated. So all the detailed activities that is to be adopted for completing any work, that has to be written in this specification, so that there is no ambiguity in that. Tools and plants required. The tools and plants to be engaged to carry out a work shall be described. Say for example, some machinery is required for excavation. For painting, if you need some spray gun. For shotcreting, you need some shotcreting or something like that. That kind of equipment, it is to be very clearly written. If compaction of soil is to be adopted, then whether manual compaction is there, or compactor roller is there, or tamper is there, rammer is there, and its capacity, all that has to be mentioned in the specification. The method of operation by whom to be supplied shall be stated. So method of operation and the who should be the supplier if in case of specific equipment, that has to be clearly mentioned. Protection of new work. The method of protection of new work against damage or method of curing if required shall be described, like in the case of curing, painting, flooring. So these are the points which are important. Protection of work against damage and curing. Quality control test. The test of completed work, if necessary, shall be described completely. What tests are required? Say for example, in embankment work, the density test, field density test that is to be carried out, and the percentage of compaction is to be determined. That has to be very well determined or written in the specification. Expression. The requirements of specification shall be expressed clearly and in concise form, avoiding repetition and unusual word. So language has to be simple, clear cut. There should not be double meaning of any word, so that someone can take or misuse the advantage of this particular situation and use it commercially feasible or commercially more profitable for his own work. The style of tense shall remain throughout. So if you are using present tense or whatever, so tense shall be remain same throughout. So there shall not be what you can say, two different type of tenses used in the single booklet or single document. The sentences shall be short, simple and concise, so that it will be easy to understand. Words having more than one meaning shall be avoided. Familiar abbreviations we can use, which are recognized at national and international level. These kind of abbreviations we can use. Clauses of the specification. As far as possible, the clauses shall be arranged in the order in which work shall be carried out. While framing clauses, the quality of material, workmanship, tools and plants, etc., practical possibilities shall be realized. Correct and complete information shall be given so that the owner and the contractor can carry out work following the specification. Right? Let us look into the types of specification. Broadly, there are two types of specification. One is general specification, another is the detailed specification. Let us see what is general specification. In general specification, nature and class of works, names of materials and proportion that should be used in the various item of works are described. Only a brief description of each and every item is given, not very detailed, but brief description of work is given. It is useful for estimating the project. They do not form the part of contract document. Detailed specification. The detailed specification forms the part of contract document. Detailed specification for particular item specify the qualities, quantities and proportion of materials, and not only that, the method of preparation and execution for that particular item of work in a project will also be discussed in the detailed specification, which is not done in general specification. The detailed specification of the different item of works are prepared separately, and they describe what the work should be and how they shall be executed and constructed. Say for example, you are doing some concreting work. General specification will say only the concrete M20 grade of quartzite aggregate 20 mm MSA with OPC 43 grade cement shall be done. So that is only with the general specification, but once you get into detailed specification as written in the previous slide, you can say Detailed specification for a particular item specify the qualities, quantities and proportion of materials and the method of preparation and execution for that particular item of work. So general specification will talk about quality and quantity and proportion of material. In addition to that, detailed specification will talk about whether the concrete is to be hand mixed, whether the concrete is to be machine mixed, whether a simple pan type of mixer can be used or RMC plant has to be used, whether you can you have to set up the RMC plant at the site itself or you can procure it from the market, and which grade of cement, which brand of cement, and all these kind of things will be discussed in the detailed specification and not in the general specification. Even as written below, physical, chemical and electrical test, if any required for finished work, has to be written in the detailed specification. So whatever test on cement and aggregate and sands are required, that will not be discussed in the general specification, but these will be discussed in the detailed specification. Testing of sand for bulking, testing of sand for silt content, testing of cement and testing of aggregate. So which type of test, which IS code has to be referred, and what are the desired results, all this will be discussed in the detailed specification. So it means that the detailed description of testing of material and the process, right, even the method of compaction that is to be used for concrete, so that will be detailed in the, discussed in the detailed specification and not in the general specification. So that is the basic difference between general specification and detailed specification. The type of machinery, equipments and special tools and plants, their method of operation when involved during execution are described in the detailed specification. Just now I said, talked about the RMC plant and the compaction equipment for concrete and how it is to be done, so that will be discussed. The method and duration of production of finished work, so regarding curing and all, so that will be written in the detailed specification and not in the general. So the method of curing, whether the ponding is to be followed or spraying of water, sprinkling of water, wet gunny bag, or you can use some curing compound in case of concreting. So that will be discussed in the detailed specification. This also specifies the involvements and responsibility of auxiliary works, incidental damages. So if any allied work is there, that will be discussed in the detailed specification. While writing detailed specification, the same order of sequence as the work is to be carried out is maintained. So in accordance with the sequence of the work, the detailed specifications are written. All engineering departments maintain detailed specification for different item of works. Those are followed and carry out the work. So the general routine works, for that the department prepare the specification and they maintain in the standard booklet and they follow for the regular work. So in next lecture we'll discuss about the more type of the detailed specification, right? Okay.